welcome to my channel, and we're going to do my August reading wrap up. In the month of August, I read a total of 14 books. I had a lot of free time, and by free time I just mean time without cell phone service. 12 of them were physical books and 2 of them were ebooks. Now this list does include 1 DNF. This is my second DNF of the year. I genuinely almost rarely ever DNF a book, but this one just wasn't for me. There was nothing bad about it. It just wasn't for me. I could not get into it. So here we go. Not in Love by Ali Hazlewood. This is not my first Ali Hazlewood book, but I've loved it just as much. The first book I read, Bride, was more of a fantasy. Now, Ali Hazlewood tends to write more STEM/romance books, and that's exactly what this book is. Rue is a biotech engineer at a company called Klein, and her boss is super supportive and happens to be one of her closest friends. Rue tries to spice up her life by going on a hookup date. She actually doesn't end up going through with it, but to her surprise, that very same man shows up to buy her company on Monday morning. Now, Eli has a special interest in Klein. Him and his associates are actually trying to buy out Klein. Throughout the story, they try to navigate their attraction to each other while also working with each other. And the kicker is, her boss isn't who she thought she was. I love the tension between these two characters. I love that the female lead is a strong and smart woman. I also love that Eli is very accepting. Throughout the whole book, he seems very calm and he seems like just roll with it, even though he's very worried about what his attraction to her means and what it could mean for the buyout of the company. But I think that adds to the mystery of the book, and I love that it gives it a little bit of tension there. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I think Ali Hazlewood is definitely a good author for a pick-me-up when you're going through a reading slump. It's quick, it's fun, it's smart, and you get everything you need. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartmann. This is about Cora and Dean, and they're supposed to be in-laws. They actually really hate each other. They get abducted together. They have to rely on the one person they hate most in order to survive. And they go through some awful things. Once they do make it out, they bond in an unexpected way. This book has a lot of self-healing, a lot of self-discovery, and just learning to love yourself again. I also love that this book gives 2 different aspects of healing. You have Dean, who seems to be going through it rather quickly. He accepted what happened to him faster than Cora. I love that aspect of it. I love that not everybody's going to heal at the same time. I also love the sentence in this book that's like where he feels her heartbeat and he's like, it's still beating, you're okay. I think that is absolutely beautiful. I did give this book a 4 out of 5 only because there is some awful scenes in this book that were very descriptive. So that's a 4 out of 5, but the plot and the story were really, really amazing. This book kind of goes along with Credence, where the plot is really good, but there's just some scenes in it that is like really fussy in a weird way. Of course, after any dark romance, I have to follow it up with something a little lighter, a little more fictional. Filthy Rich Fae by Geneva. Can we take a moment to look at it? Look at that foil cover and then those edges. She's beautiful. Filthy Rich Fae is like mafia/fantasy. The most powerful family in New Orleans right now is the Gage family. And Kate knows the #1 rule is don't interact with them. But when her knucklehead brother, of course, gets into trouble and involves himself with the family, she just has to march in and save the day. It wouldn't be a good plotline otherwise, am I right? In exchange for her brother's freedom, she offers herself, and she has no clue what she's getting herself into. Because if there's one thing about Faye, is they are tricky. Lachlan accepts her request to swap with her brother, but the only thing he wants is her soul. I definitely picked this book up for a lighter read after reading a heavier book, but I still wanted all the spice. This book gives you spice, it gives you fantasy, you have your fae. This was definitely exactly what I needed out of it. I've seen negative reviews, but for me, it's a 5 out of 5. I got everything I wanted out of it. After loving Filthy Rich Fae, I thought, why not keep it fae? Why not keep it fantasy? How Does It Feel by Jeneane O'Reilly. Callie is a scientist that has an obsession with moths and mushrooms. Unfortunately, what those moths and mushrooms mean is portals/gateways to the Unseelie world. She actually falls on the prince of the Unseelie court, Mendax, and, well, he thinks she's a human assassin sent to kill him. He's kind of unhinged. Of course, he puts her in prison, and There are unspeakable things that happen to her, but she survives them all, and Mendax actually starts becoming attracted to her, wondering how this human has survived everything. She also has like this weird gift where animals will either talk to her and or just be nice to her. Now, I was going to give this book a 2-star review because it flopped for me because I didn't feel what I wanted out of it, but the ending of this book was actually a huge plot twist. So I bumped it up to 4 stars. I did enjoy that ending, and I did start the second book. However, I think it is doing the same thing this did, and it's kind of flopping for me. I'm struggling to finish it right now. The Night Ends with Fire by K.X. Song. This is another beautiful book. This is a Mulan retelling, and I absolutely love the way she told this story. She makes her look so strong, and there's a lot more detailing in her background. I feel like there's a lot more description into the culture and the lifestyle that could have been for her. And I also love the way that the ending to this book is not what you think it is. This is the second book that I've read this year that doesn't necessarily have a bad ending, but it also doesn't have a good ending. I can't wait to see where the next book takes this character. Another thing that I love about this book is that there's more magic involved, and I love the darkness of it. And I think the story that we all know and love glazes over the darkness of the time period and what women had to go through. But I feel like in this one, it definitely emphasizes the darkness in one's heart. The book does better to seem more realistic, all the while still giving us that women empowerment. You Read Stand by Dustin Thao. If you want to cry, read this book. The book is definitely a very heartfelt YA novel, and I absolutely adore it. Julie is 17 years old, and she loses her boyfriend, Sam. This event in her life put her in a daze. She stopped hanging out with her friends. She was unable to actually go to his funeral. She was struggling to cope with the fact that he was actually gone. She throws out his things. She thinks that maybe if she gets rid of him, she'll stop having thoughts of him. But she finds a note in her yearbook, and it makes her just want to reach out to him one more time. She gives him a call, and what she doesn't expect is for him to answer. She's able to talk to him by giving him a call. He doesn't know how long that he'll be able to talk to her or how long he can continue to answer the phone, but he thinks that he can help her heal and move on. What he doesn't realize is she's actually forming an attachment, and she's using it as a crutch. So he tries to cut her off. As time goes on, the connection becomes more infrequent and spotty, and the more people that she actually tells about this connection actually makes the connection even worse. Throughout this all, this is just a healing story of Julie and losing her best friend slash boyfriend. This book was so emotional. If you need a break from reading everything you're used to and you just want a good cry, this is the book for you. 5 out of 5 stars. Say You Swear by Brandy. This book is going to be one of my top books of the year. I loved every minute of it. This book has everything that I love in a book. You've got romance, you've got heartbreak, you've got loss, you've got love triangle. This book was so good. The story follows Ariana and her friend group, which just happens to be her older brother and his 2 friends. They've been so close, and this is their last summer after graduating high school. They go to a beach house, and of course, they live it up. Now, Ariana has always had a crush on her brother's best friend, Cole. To be fair, she laid eyes on him first when he moved in so long ago. But, of course, Cole is definitely influenced by the older brother, and he doesn't want to do anything to hurt his friendship with the brother and or his friendship with Ariana. Of course, things don't always go as planned when you're hormonal teenagers. Cole gives in, and they finally hook up. Ariana thinks, this is it. This is my love story. Everything's going to be great. However, Cole eventually just tells her it's a mistake and that they shouldn't have done it because he doesn't want to ruin the friendship between him and her brother. This breaks Ariana's heart. This also puts a strain on the friendship between the boys and Ariana, who are all going to the same college. Fast forward, they all go to the same college, and she's struggling to deal with what happened. First love broke her heart. Not only did he break her heart, he tore it apart and then stomped on it. While she was at the beach house, there was a bonfire and she met a new person named Noah. And Noah is the sweetest person that I have ever read about in a book. He is so wholesome. He's been through things in his life that just make him such a well-rounded character in this book. He has encouraged her since day one. The scene in the Hunger Games where Katniss gets mad because Peeta says that he likes her on live television, and Haymitch is just like, he made you look desirable. Well, that's what Noah does for Ariana. He tends to flirt. Wait, no. He doesn't pretend. He does flirt with Ariana. Makes her look desirable to Cole, which led up to the mistake. Of course, Noah is also going to the same college, and when she gets there, he finds this broken human, and he helps her put herself back together again. All the while, Ariana doesn't understand, but she is falling in love with Noah. And their story is amazing. I was getting halfway through this book and I was like, these two are happy. What else could possibly happen in this book? Tragedy. That's what. Tragedy struck in this book. Now, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it is the best plot twist I have seen in a book in a while, because you are just not expecting what was left in this book. The rest of the book is all about relearning, healing all over again, and just figuring out who your friends are and how truthful they are to you. This book will forever be infinity stars. I love it so much. Love, love, love. My microphone died, but it must go on. In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. This book is a military romance. It follows Izzy and Nate as they go through some trauma and throughout the years as they find their way back to each other again. Basically, these two were in a plane crash together, and that brought them together in a strange way. Throughout the years, they end up seeing each other, have feelings for each other. However, things just don't work out. In this final event where they end up together again, they finally figure out how to make it work. I'm not really into military romances, but I will give this a 4 out of 5 because I did enjoy the story. Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. I was not expecting to remotely like this book. I did get this book for my birthday, and I was very happy to receive it because it's actually really popular. Like, it was all over the For You page. Now, this book is about 2 serial unalivers who basically have a contest with each other. And that's why I thought I wouldn't like it. But these two are hilarious. Butcher is this hilarious Irishman who has an obsession with Blackbird. Both of them unalive people who are just dastardly in the world, and they do it in their own ways. Blackbird tends to do it more like a spider web. That's why they call her the orb weaver, because she might do something with her eyeballs and then kind of make it like a spider web. Butcher is more all about just raw emotion. He just gets in there and does the job. And this book follows them as they compete and eventually fall in love. This is a dark romance slash rom-com. I think this is also one of the first rom-coms that I've actually read and enjoyed. The amount of tension between the characters and the humor and honestly the vulnerability as well. That actually got me too. I love the book. I think it is a 5 out of 5. And I hope to read Leather and Lark soon. Collided by Lauren Asher. Now, I read Throttled and I absolutely loved it. Of course, I had to pick up Collided, the next book in the series. The story follows Sophie and Liam. Liam is a Formula One driver and he has a reputation for being a playboy. Sophie is the daughter of his boss. Now, with his rocky history of intertwining with family members of people he worked with, he knows she is off limits. What are they to do when they find a very unlikely friendship and attraction? The story navigates with the two of them as they try not to make the friendship into something more, because they actually really do enjoy each other's company. He's trying not to fall for her. Of course he does. The story definitely has a little bit of personal growth, and I like that. It's hot and steamy, and this is a 5 out of 5. I will continue to read the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher. The last physical book that I read for the month of August was Verity by Colleen Hoover. It has to be one of my first murder mystery type books. I actually really did enjoy it. So the story follows Lowen as she is a struggling author. As she had one book come out, but she is yet to find inspiration to finish her next book. Well, she is contacted by her manager saying that he has a job for her. While she's on her way to that job, she actually witnessed someone get hit by a car. This man just gives her his shirt. She gets to the meeting and she finds out that the man that gave her a shirt is actually the man hiring her to finish his wife's books. His wife has some health concerns, and so she can't write, so that's why he's reaching out to have Lowen write the books. She does agree to write the books, and she goes to his house and she spends some time there with him and his son and his wife, who is in a vegetable state. Jeremy still cares for his wife daily. He has a very strange nurse, and then his son is still living with them. Jeremy's wife, Verity, was writing a very popular best-selling book series, and that's what Lowen is there to research and help finish writing the story. Lowen finds a manuscript, basically an autobiography by Verity. In that manuscript, she finds the dark side of Verity. While Lowen is reading this, she's living in their house. She is seeing the little boy, she is seeing Jeremy, she is seeing the nurse, and she just starts to notice the weirdest things. The whole situation is just kind of creepy. She started to notice someone standing in the window in Verity's room. She also noticed that Verity would make eye contact. There was an issue with a knife wound up on the floor, and Lowen is creeped out, and she now thinks that Verity is this dark character, this awful human being. In the end, there's a huge plot twist, and I think that's what gave this book a 5 out of 5 for me. I also read Manacled. Yeah, this book was not for me. This book is essentially a mashup of The Handmaid's Tale and Harry Potter characters. I got it because it was highly talked about, highly reviewed. Everyone's raving about it because it's actually becoming a book now, being rewritten with original characters. And maybe I will like it then, but as of now, I don't think this book is for me. I give it a 2 out of 5. I feel like the concepts were definitely unoriginal. I get that it's a fan fiction, but it's just very unoriginal. I didn't like it. And the very last book that I attempted to finish, but it was just not my thing. I don't really have any qualms with it. I just couldn't get into it. It just wasn't for me. So it was a DNF, and it's called Stop by Fate. That is all the books that I read in the month of August. Have you read any of these books? If you have, let me know down below. Also, do me the huge favor of subscribing as well. I'm normally a book talker. I'm very active on TikTok, but with the shutdown possibly that is going to happen, I want to branch out into YouTube to continue doing the same thing that I love. I love to read and talk about books and meet new people who also like to do the same. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe and turn on your notifications so you can always know when I post a new video.